This is Rob, a former technology professional turned survivalist. He's not what you might expect, a loner hunkered down in a remote cabin with a cache of guns. He's a Seattle resident, a former yuppie with a wife and 3 teenage kids. But like other survivalists, he's been preparing for disaster, an economic disaster which he believes may be starting now.
If you ask people in your grandparents' generation what was the Depression like, things are a little bit different this time. We're not a 50% agrarian society anymore. We're mostly urban, suburban. It's going to be worse this time. You can't just move back in with the grandparents and live off the farm and they're feeding you. It's no longer an option.
So for Rob, who asked us not to publish his full name, a top priority has been to stockpile food.
I store away dry goods just like my grandparents, great-grandparents would have, and those will keep about a year or two.
He now gardens, makes his own bread, and raises chickens. Several years ago, Rob took the money he made in the tech sector to reduce family debt to zero and radically cut back on luxuries like eating out. He's pressing his kids to learn basic skills, including sewing, shooting, and first aid. These days, the family rarely drives anywhere. Rob does many of his errands on foot. In part, these are ways to prepare for a much more difficult, even third-worldly future.
It also saves money, and saving money is good because sometimes you can buy yourself out of trouble.
Rob runs a website called mutuallyassuredsurvival.com, where he discusses economy and ways to weather hardship, not so much natural disaster or nuclear strikes as the possibility of financial paralysis.
For instance, strategy that usually you hunker down, you do not flee for it. Generally, like an earthquake, you stay where you are. If there's a banking holiday, you stay where you are. You don't want to be stranded somewhere when your debit card stops working.
But Rob and many of his readers, who have money in gold and offshore accounts, are prepared to run long and far if a bad situation became a catastrophe.
Most of us probably have plans to potentially leave the country altogether.